It's Christmas time here at the shop, and wait until you see what Santa left for me. You're going to love this. Well, good morning. Welcome back here to the shop. I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. I apologize I'm getting this video out a day late, but with everything going on here, trying to get that Palomino horse out the door, and of course family was coming in for Christmas and I'm spending time with them and we're having a really good time. And of course, I guess the big story is that cold air that pretty much the entire country was dealing with here. It was no exception in Western Pennsylvania. I think this is one of the coldest Christmases on record. We normally deal with some cold temperatures, but nothing like what we've had here the last couple of days. So I had a frozen water line, which wasn't too bad to deal with. I had to get that unthawed. And then the other night, went to bed kind of late here, and my wife screamed that, there's water on the floor. Well, our water softener, of course, we're in the country here, so we deal with well water, and I have a water softener, and that drain that drains the water softener when it goes through its cycle plugged up. And so luckily we caught it in time, but we still had quite a mess to deal with, and I'm still dealing with that here this morning. But all that aside, I thought maybe this video we'd do something a little bit fun, since we're really not going to get into any building until after the first of the year. But if you remember, when I was in the paint booth a few weeks ago or a few episodes ago, and I was painting the Palomino, I made reference that my brother and I were going to pick something up, and I purposely have held off on that. And I'm now ready to share what Santa brought for me. And I'm really excited. This was something that I did for a gentleman for a company about 6 years ago, and it was actually about 6 years almost to the day, within a week or so. I made this special animal for the family, and it left here on December 22nd, if you can believe it. And let me get it and I'll wheel it in here, and like I said, I'm really excited to show everybody. Well, here he is, and this is what Santa brought me this year for Christmas. You probably have noticed this guy in my show opening. I've dropped a couple of pictures in there of me working on this. And like I said, this was something that I created for a family about 6 years ago. And I thought, since we're into the Christmas season, it might be fun to kind of share with you the backstory on how this elephant came to be and how I came to own it. And this is something that, if there was one animal out there that I had created over the years that I'd love to own, it was this guy. Normally when I make a horse or make something for a family and it leaves here, I don't think too much more about it. I just hope that the family's enjoying it, and that hopefully I'll hear that they passed it on through the family. But this guy, I've always kind of thought about him, and this was such a special project to me. This is one of the largest animals I've ever made, and I had such a time frame, a real crunch to get this done, and I was able to pull this all off. I was just so proud of this, and again, I'm just so happy and excited to own it. But the story is, I had a gentleman at the show that I do at the end of the summer, Shaker Woods. You've seen me over there and talk about it. He came up to me and he said, I've got a 3-year-old granddaughter. She loves elephants. And have you ever made an elephant? And I, no, but it would be something that would be a really fun project, something that I was interested in. He said, well, how big's your biggest horse? And I said, well, it's this one over here. And he says, oh, I want it bigger than that. He says, I want a really great big elephant. Well, he had me at, you know, big elephant. So I was really looking for a really cool project other than the horses to, you know, for something to work on. And so we started to discuss the size and what he wanted. And so I sat down and I started coming up with an idea of an elephant for him. And I came up with this. And so this is sitting on 7-foot rockers, and they're about 3 inches thick. And so when I pitched it to him, he kind of threw a curveball at me, and he also wanted a reindeer. He said, have you ever made a reindeer? And he says, I was thinking about something for my showroom. So the gentleman was the CEO, and he was 3rd generation of the oldest potato chip factory here in the States. It was Ballrick Potato Chip Factory in Tiffin, Ohio. It's about 2 or 3 hours away from here. So we started negotiating and started talking about everything that he wanted. The reindeer that we talked about, you know, he had said that he wanted something for Christmas. Well, when I think Christmas and I think kids, I automatically go to, you know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I mean, what an icon. And I thought, boy, wouldn't that be a lot of fun to create that and put that on a glider platform and let kids actually see a really big Rudolph and get to play with it and ride it. So I pitched them that idea, and they just went crazy over it. So now, instead of just doing the elephant, I've got 2 things to try to get ready for Christmas, and that was the big time frame that he said, do you think you can have this all ready for Christmas? Well, of course, I, you know, didn't know if I could do it or not, but I said, absolutely, I can get it done. So away I went. And this is where I wish I would have started this video, this channel, you know, a number of years ago, because there were some really cool projects that I'd worked on in the past that, you know, sadly I didn't get really video of any of this, but I did get pictures of this because I knew this was going to be something special. So I did get a lot of pictures, and I did put a video together of the calendar, the time frame it took, so when I started it. So you have to remember, and I'm going to show you that video that I put together, you know, 6 years ago of me working on this and creating this. But you have to remember, when I started this, you're going to see it, it's going to pick up in November. I did the Rudolph before that. So I started on Rudolph in September, finished that, and then I went into this guy. So I'll show you that video now. So yeah, I was really flying and motoring to get that thing done, and I put in some long hours, and you know, I just was sleeping and just living this animal. I was getting up early in the morning. I couldn't wait to come out, and a couple of those shots that are in that time lapse, there was just some fog. It was just really, really cool. It was one of those mornings. It was just really cool, and to see that elephant, you know, as I was working on that and seeing that fog kind of coming in was just a really cool shot too. But I thought maybe I'll bring it in here and we'll kind of go over this a little bit. Now you can see there's a little bit of damage from him being in storage all those years. And that was another one of the bummers when I talked to him on the phone. You know, they were downsizing, so that was one of the main reasons that they were wanting to sell this back to me. Is he retired, and so the company's moved on, and he's enjoying his retirement, and they just are downsizing. They really didn't have room for this anymore. And again, he emailed me, it was right around the Thanksgiving time, and so we've been back and forth, and he said, would you like to have it back? And of course, I just jumped at the chance to, you know, to own it. And again, to own something that I've created, you know, is just something that's really, really special. I never thought I'd get the chance to, you know, to own this or even see it again. So, and it's going to be so much fun now to take this over to the festival in August and put it on display and let the kids play with it. But let me bring you in. Let's walk around it. We'll talk about it a little bit more. There's a few things that I want to do to it to get it ready for the show in August. We're not going to do a whole lot, but there are a few little changes that I would like to do. So let me bring you in here. Like I said, there are a few little areas here that we're going to have to work on. This one, you know, we've got a rub mark here we're going to have to deal with later on. We're not going to do anything right now until probably the weather breaks. But yeah, we'll have to address this and some rub marks here on the rocker itself. There are some chips, and sadly the paint didn't hold up real well in the storage, so he's got quite a bit of damage with the finish, the cracking and everything, so it's going to really need stripped down. But one of the areas that I never liked, but again I was under a time crunch, was this back. So one of the areas, this is one of the areas that I want to work on. I did make this back so it could be removed. If an adult wanted to get on this and go for a ride, he could, or they could. So I made this back removable. But I always envisioned, I wanted this back to be a lot smaller, and I wanted it to kind of, you know, come back. So I've got it in my head how I want to do this. And so that is one area that I think I'm going to try to get done before the show in August. So that really won't be too bad. And then, you know, we can touch up the paint and do all of that. But he really was a lot of fun to make. When I built him, again, the plans and you can't really see it here in the camera, of course, but there is a seam right here, a joint. And there should be a joint right about here too. So I actually, when I was carving it, I could take this trunk off and carve the head, and then put the trunk back on and put it, you know, and continue to carve it so everything would flow together as I was carving it. The eyes, I was so excited and happy with the way the eyes turned out. I thought about putting glass eyes in, but then I just wanted to really carve them, and I think it really worked well. There's a crack here on the ear, and again, this would be right where the joint, the top of the, well, where the head would meet the bottom body block. So this would be the seam, and it would actually come right across the top of the back. So we're going to have to address that and fix that. And another chip here, and this side's not too bad. Just a little bit of chipping in the rockers themselves. You know, there's quite a bit of cracking all the way around. The gold leafing, this was one of the first projects that I've ever done where I got to play with gold leafing. I've done some little things, but nothing on this scale. and it's all cracked and coming undone. So we're gonna have to sometime address that. And I don't know, maybe we'll change it up, maybe we'll change the paint up. I'm not really sure. But again, it's just something that I'm gonna live with it for a while and think about what I want to do with it and how I want to display it, where I want to put it. I mean, what do you do with basically a baby elephant? There's a little bit of paint missing and a rub mark back here on, some of the appliques that I'd put on. The tail, again, I always thought about when I was carving it, when I was making this, is to make a small tail, but again, I was afraid that somebody might get a hold of it and break it, so I ended up molding it and carving it right into the body, and I think it really worked well. But yeah, there he is. Just really, really fun to own it. So we have a little bit of work ahead of us to get him ready for the show in August, but I think we'll wait until the weather breaks and we get some warmer weather. Then we'll start playing with him and getting them all touched up and, do the few changes that I want to do, like the back. But I just wanted to share him with you all. Share the elephant that I'd created 6 years ago. I thought you'd get a real kick out of it. But that's all I've got for you this week. I know this was a short video, but with Christmas being here and I've got family in, I figured you all would understand. I'm taking a little bit of time off. I'm not sure what I'm going to put together for you next week. I'll see what I can get to, put together, and hopefully we'll have a good time next weekend. But I really appreciate you all hanging out with me here at the shop. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing and give these videos a thumbs up. It really helps me out. I really want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year. Thank you so much to those of you that have subscribed and are, enjoying what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to creating new content for you in 2023 and growing this channel even bigger. Who knows what we're going to be getting into next year? I can't wait to find out. But again, thanks a lot for hanging out with me here at the shop, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Happy carving.